So the Galaxy S has gotten a bit of a reboot in design with the Galaxy S6 and the S6 Edge, but what does that mean for the Note formula? Well, we've got the answer here in Samsung's new Galaxy Note 5, and it takes a lot of what the company's learned from design from the S6 and applied it and made this into a surprisingly comfortable phablet.
If you're looking for differences between this and the new Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, you're really not going to find a whole lot, especially if you're looking internally. That's because both devices come with Samsung's octa-core Exynos 7420 chipset. Both of them come with 4GB of RAM. Both of the processors are clocked at the exact same speed. They both have 16 megapixel cameras that now stream to YouTube. The platforms themselves, identical. The biggest difference is how the Note formula has been executed, especially now that we have a foundation in the S6 and the S6 Edge to build off of. So in terms of physical design, they're very, very similar. You're not going to find a curved screen here, but you will find a beautifully curved back. And guys, let me tell you, this is the most comfortable Galaxy Note I've ever picked up. Now that might not sound like much, but if you're anything like me and you've always hated how the Galaxy Notes felt wide and flat in your hand, this could be the phone that changes your mind. Now, most of that space is taken up by a 5.7-inch Quad HD Super AMOLED screen, and really, it's about as good looking as you'd expect from a Samsung phone, especially a flagship. Of course, the magic really happens once you pull the S Pen out, and even that's a little different this year. That's right, folks, this year we've got a clicky S Pen, so you'll click the bottom of the pen to unlock, and then pull the whole thing out of its sheath. After that, it's pretty much business as usual, except for a few interesting new changes to the software. Take Air Command for instance. That's the little bubble that comes up when you pull the S Pen out, and now you've got added shortcuts for quick access to your favorite applications, plus you can jump into your writing features a little more quickly. You can mark up PDFs from any PDF app using the S Pen, and you can also now take long scrolly screenshots of websites or lists, just because really. The best new feature here tries to make the Note 5 feel a little more like a regular notebook. So when you pull the S Pen out of its sheath and start writing on the screen when it's off, the phone will detect it, take what you're writing, and dump it straight into S Note, so you don't have to fire up your phone, unlock it, jump into the application, create a new page, and then start writing. It's a much more simple, streamlined approach, and I'm frankly surprised it took Samsung this long to do it because it just makes so much sense. Samsung's also spent a lot of time trying to reduce the amount of friction between the S Pen itself and the screen, and that might sound a little counterintuitive when you figure that writing on a piece of paper has its own intrinsic level of friction, but what we're left with here is, in general, a very smooth and very, very precise writing experience. If you've liked S Pens before, this isn't going to change your minds, but this might do a number on some newcomers to the scene. Beyond all of that, we do have a pretty standard TouchWizified version of Android 5.1. If you're coming from the S6 or the S6 Edge, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about here. Here's the thing about TouchWiz, it's gotten really good over the years. It's cleaner, it's smoother, it runs really nicely, and in general, it's just not as offensive as it used to be. It won't be everyone's cup of tea, and it certainly isn't mine, but it does still stand out as one of the easier custom interfaces to live with. I probably should have mentioned this up front, but I've never been the biggest fan of Samsung's Note formula. The phone's always felt sort of chintzy even though it was meant to be a premium brand, and the S Pen always felt kind of gimmicky to me. This year though, with the Note 5, I'm starting to change my mind. The hardware is beautiful, and the phone itself is surprisingly easy to hang on to. More importantly, it feels like the software is finally getting smarter in all the right ways. We're going to withhold our judgment until we get to play with it for a little bit longer, but one thing seems pretty clear even now. If you're a Note non-believer, then this device might be a very pleasant surprise.